Hello again, my MMA true believers. I am Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com and joined by a 13th ranked flyweight in all of the UFC. On January 20th, he returned to the octagon looking for a third straight win and hoping a third booking is a charm when he faces off with the number 9 flyweight Matt Schnell, and that master of the manscape is the one and only Tyson Nam. Senor Nam, sir, thanks for the time to talk your upcoming fight.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Now, you had an active year in 2020. You were able to get 3 fights in, almost got a fourth, but fingers crossed, you will get to start early in 2021. But the situation around the world with COVID has been very up and down, especially here in the U.S. mainland. For the most part, you train off the mainland, in home in Hawaii. What has the training situation been like throughout this last year, all the way up to this fight camp? Were there points where there were surges in Hawaii and then training became far from optimal? Or while maybe Hawaii doesn't have, like, say, these marquee major gyms like AKA, ATT, or whatever, it is optimal during a pandemic for MMA training because it's not in the mainland, not a huge population. So training in 2020 for you maybe wasn't as different as 2019.
It really wasn't. Yeah, there was surges here and there, but just our governor, mayor, or whoever's running the system in Hawaii sucks in general. But for training wise, we made sure that we wasn't going out mingling with strangers, whoever my training partners were, and we did what we do every day. I mean, we don't really go out anyways. All we do is see each other and punch each other in the face. So that's literally what our daily, so 2019, 2020, 2021 is the same exact thing that we do every day.
I remember talking to Demetrius Johnson a couple of weeks ago. He talked about how his training, because it's worse in Washington than in Hawaii, but like they were working in pods of like 4 or 5 training partners. You kind of just train with those same people. Did you ever have to get to any point like that, or it never became as strict as something like that in the time?
It never became as strict as something of that sort. I mean, in my head, man, you got to be a real asshole to come to the gym and you feel a little bit sickly
Yeah.
to give to people, whether it be COVID or
Yeah,
the flu in
seriously,
general,
yeah.
HIV, AIDS, hepatitis,
Yeah.
it don't matter. You got to be an asshole.
Yeah. We talked following your first 2 fights in the UFC, which were losses, and I asked about, job security. Could your dream you worked so hard for to get to the UFC be on the line at that time? But since then, you've won 2 straight, both highlight reel finishes. Now you're number 13 ranked in a fight in the division. Explain to me like the differences in mentality of like a UFC fight camp on a 2 fight losing streak and then but on now on a 2 fight winning streak. I know every fighter, like, the next fight is the biggest and stuff like that, but I'm just curious. And if there is differences, is there more of an anxiousness or an intensity when you're trying to end a losing skid at this level? Maybe there isn't. Maybe, confidence remains the same always because you kind of always have to maintain that confidence. Are there big differences in your mindset in those kind of different situations?
I feel like I'm even more motivated when I win because I always want to top my last performance. And, coming off of like a 2 fight, losing skid, it kind of makes you more unmotivated that, anytime now I'm going to get my pink slip. But, my third fight was a blessing. And the fourth fight, I needed a big win because even if I won 1 out of 4 fights, that doesn't look too good for the higher ups. On top of
Yeah.
if I am up for a contract, I'm just glad that I was able to put out the performances that I have been doing over the years internationally, and I'm getting ready for my fifth fight now in the UFC.
And a person that's not a fighter, a fighting civilian would think, oh well, when you're in a fight where maybe you're worried if you get cut or something like that. That seems like that would be more nerve wracking than a fight where you're winning. Maybe on your winning streak you're a little loosey goosey, but would you say it's more nerve wracking when you're on a winning streak, especially at flyweight? You beat Matt Schnell, number 9. You could jump right into the top 10, number 8, 7, who knows? And you're like a fight or two away from serious contention. Does there feel more nerves for this to try to get to that spot?
I wouldn't call it nerves. I would say a little bit more anxiousness. I mean,
Okay.
I've been doing this professionally since 2006, so it's not this isn't my first rodeo. I've been here. I've done that. I've done it on big stages internationally against very well-known opponents, contenders. So I feel like I'm comfortable. I have been feeling like the last 3 or 4 years of fighting that no matter where I'm at, Russia, Kazakhstan, Brazil, or wherever it may be, I always thought it was a little bit weird that I wasn't as nervous as, when I first started fighting at a local gym. So I was like, huh, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing. And but obviously it's been working for me. So
Matt will be returning after a year away from fighting. I have been told by many fighters that that time when you are not specifically training for an opponent can be pivotal times of growth and evolution as a fighter. Despite this fight being booked 3 times, different times, he's had a lot of times to do that, to evolve, to change his game up and stuff like that. Between your Sherbatov and Bogatino fights, you also were away for about a year. Did you change a good bit in that time between those 2 fights? And do you have to go into this fight very mindful? You may get a very different version of Matt Schnell than the one you've been looking at on film.
Yeah, I think my situation at that point was me just really trying to almost find myself in life in general.
Okay.
So I feel like it's gonna be a little bit different. I mean, I expect nothing but the best from Matt. But that time he's able to improve on things that he may have seen that he needed to. For myself, during that time, it was just focusing on what I really needed to do in life in general. Even like coming down to like eating healthy. I was a big McDonald's, a Big Mac addict, and that doesn't
yeah,
coincide very well with athletics. No, not at all. But yeah, I expect nothing but the best from Matt, and I hope we bring out the best in each other.
You are special in this division because you are the rare flyweight that has like legit pop in your hands. In the past, Matt has fought a couple other guys with good pop in their hands, and Rob Font, Alexandre Pantoja. Both were first round knockout losses, with Pantoja being that last fight all the way December 2019. And neither of those guys are like you, where you have made a name specifically because you have put people to sleep in 60% of your wins. Do you think Matt might have a punching power kryptonite, and this could be an especially bad matchup for him if he chooses to keep his standing? Because Matt is a scrappy, tough dude, and he doesn't mind scrapping it up on the feet.
I believe that both him and myself, we live by the sword and we die by the sword. We're gonna go in there where we're both finishers. Whether he is looking to put people out with strikes or submissions. Myself personally, my personal preference is knocking people out. But I do feel like I hit anybody and they'll either get hurt or get knocked out. I don't know why. Maybe just because when I was growing up, I had older brothers and cousins that I would like to punch, and it would make me have to punch a little bit harder or something of that sort. But I feel like if I touch anybody on top of the chin, it doesn't matter. Their lights are going out.
Now, let's say he doesn't want to live and die by the sword, and he goes, you know what, I'm not liking this power, I'm not liking what I'm getting here in the feet, wants to take it to the mat. And he's proven that he's to be real good there with half of his wins. He's got are by submission. When preparing for him, what makes him, in scouting, preparing for him, what have you seen on the ground that makes him, successful to getting submissions at this level and stuff like that? And do you have to kind of be careful with him on the mat, kind of like he needs to be careful with you and your power on the feet?
Yeah, I mean, he's super slick on top of the ground with many wins by submission. Definitely has an edge in grappling over myself, but I would say good luck trying to take me there. I've fought with guys from Dagestan. They couldn't even take me down. They've been wrestling since they were probably 3 years old. So good luck with that. I mean, I feel like I'm actually one of the strongest, if not the strongest, like strength-wise, pound for pound in the flyweight division. So where I want to fight is where it's going to be.
2020 was a real return to prominence for the flyweight division. Figueiredo became a far bigger name in the sport with his title win and title defenses. His fight with Moreno was a fight of the year candidate everybody was talking about. And the talent up and down, the top 15, including yourself with what you've done recently, has people and fans excited. How great is it to be a part of this flyweight resurgence when fans thought the division might be DOA 2 years ago?
Yeah, it feels really good. You know, the I feel like the flyweight division should have been on display for a while. I mean, it took a little bit of getting rid of some guys, bringing in some new guys, but I think they got it just right to where we have the killers of the killers in the entire world in this flyweight division. Where you know, not too long ago, I guess people were thinking that there's not a lot of knockouts, finishes by us little guys, but I feel like if I'm doing my stats correctly, I feel like the flyweights are finishing a lot more than the heavier weights as of recent. So I mean, it's really exciting time for myself for being in the flyweight division where it's red as fire.